Hello guys, it's time for our weekly chat about KIRAKIRA PRECURE. This time we're discussing episode 25, which is probably the best episode of this season. And I've been thinking that I say this a lot about KIRAKIRA PRECURE. Every time I come to a new video, most times I say like, okay, we're talking about this episode and this is the best episode ever. This season is being mind-blowing to me, you guys know that, and I am loving it. Like, I'm loving every second of KIRAKIRA PRECURE. So it's really like this. It's really, my love for this season is really intense, and after this episode, come on, how not to love this season? Like, I don't even know. So okay, so this episode was centered towards Yukari's and Akira's relationship, and we know that their relationship is something very different than what we've seen in Precure so far. Okay, Precure has lots of lesbian ships, but having something almost clearly confirmed is not something that we have in Precure. We have like very strong bonds of friendship, but actual love relationships between the girls, no. So I think this is a step in a different direction that we've had so far, and it's a step in the right direction in my opinion, and I love it so much. So yes, this episode was had a little background plot just to situate us in what was going on, and yeah, we've had that prince coming from another country. I already forgot the name of the prince, and I obviously forgot the name of the country already. I just watched the episode, and this prince, he instantly fell in love with Yukari and he wanted to take her to his country and marry her. Okay, this is pretty bizarre, but I think that they were just going for something that was clearly, easily recognizable, and, a motive for things to happen. And it was very interesting because in one of the first scenes of this episode, we've seen Yukari alone waiting for Akira, which was giving attention to other girls that were flocking onto her. And yes, Yukari was so bored and she probably hates this. And I think that one of the reasons that Yukari accepted the duel between the prince and Akira was because she was feeling a little jealous of those girls. Because Akira was giving too much attention to them and not so much to her. And she was probably feeling a little jealous of those girls because they're always together. And that's one of the reasons that she actually went on to make both of them duel for Yukari's love. And it was interesting. One of the things that were interesting was because Akira played along, but she was having second thoughts, and the girls were always rooting for her, except for Ciel. It's interesting because I think that what Ciel brought into this episode was very important, because Ciel is like the voice of reason. She was the only one who actually thought, okay, why don't you just let Yukari go? Because if she wants to go, let her go. It's her thing. It's what she wants to do. If it's what she wants to do, let her go. She was the only one that questioned that. And yeah, I know the situation is pretty absurd, and it was obvious that she was not going, but she was the only one who actually thought of that. And in another situation, she thought that Yukari had a very selfish reaction, had a very selfish attitude, and that made her angry as well, because no one says anything. It's something that's very common in anime in general. I think that people just let some things go and they just don't talk back, and that's something that irritates me a little bit. But in this episode, it made sense. So yeah, going back a little bit, they had the duel. They were dueling, and they were going against each other in different scenarios, and yeah, it was a little bit comedic, and I think that the comedy was what they were going for until we got to the dancing scene. But before talking about that, I said that Yukari accepted the duel because she was a little jealous, but there was another thing in my point of view. She wanted to see how far Akira would go for her, and that's an interesting thing for Yukari, because she always thinks about things like, if it's interesting, that's fine. If it's amusing, that's fine, because she's easily bored. And that's obviously one of the reasons, because yeah, that would be amusing to her. She would have fun watching those things. But I think that she wanted to see how far Akira would go for her, because that is very important for her. But then we've seen some moments in which there were some confrontations. And those moments for her are very hard. But before talking about that, let me talk about the dancing scene. The dancing scene was so intense and so beautiful and so romantic. So we have two girls dancing together in an anime that is geared towards children. That was such a beautiful and poetic moment, and I loved that so much. I think it was so beautifully done, and they didn't even exchange a word. I thought that they were going to talk at that moment, but they didn't. It was completely silent. They were just dancing. That was so beautiful. And then when they were talking, actually, they were talking at the beach. That scene was pretty powerful to me because Yukari doesn't know how to deal with confrontation. She and Akira is a very straightforward person. Akira is very straightforward, and Yukari is not. And this is something that sometimes does not go well together, because when you confront someone who is very defensive, that defensive person might feel attacked and might feel hurt. And Yukari knows that. But even though she knows that, she did it because she needed to. She needed an answer for what was actually going on. And that created a conflict between both of them. And Yukari was not able to confront Akira, and she wasn't able to confront herself. And after that, after some scenes, we've had that very cute scene of both of them cooking together, even though they were not at best terms. But when they were together alone, both of them, I actually loved that part, because first we've had Yukari saying that everyone thinks that she's perfect, but she's not. She knows her flaws, and she can hide those flaws. She can perfectly manipulate everyone around her so that people won't notice those flaws in her. But there is a problem, because Akira notices that. Akira understands that. And she probably feels a little weaker besides Akira. And then we've had another scene that was so beautiful and so intense, which was Akira turned her around. First of all, I was just like, oh my god, a kiss, come on. I knew we wouldn't have a kiss, but whatever. Then we've had that moment, and then Yukari, they were like in front of each other, looking at both of their eyes, and Yukari just listened that Akira accepts that in her. And that was so beautiful. That's everything that you have to look forward in a relationship. You know, the other person accepting your flaws, and, you know, making yourself feel at home, even though you have flaws. Because sometimes we have flaws we cannot work on. You know, it's part of ourselves, it's part of our personalities. We can work on some things, we can improve some things, but some of them are not improvable. You know, they're just part of us. And that's how Yukari feels about herself. You know, everybody thinks that she's perfect, but she has lots of flaws, and she knows those flaws inside of her, and people would not see that. And yeah, obviously we don't want them to see, but you can't have an honest relationship with someone if you're hiding something. And that's what was going on. And then I noticed, I think, that Yukari felt embraced at that moment. And then we had the fight. The fight was so beautiful. First of all, Chocolat fighting alone for Makaron, for Yukari, was really intense. I thought the villain was pretty intense as well, attacking Chocolat non-stop and making her trapped in those black things. That was so intense. I was a little scared with the guy attacking her like that, and I was like, oh my god. And then I obviously forgot the name of the new villain, but then she was able to free herself. And then we had another Chocolat and Makaron moment, both of them sitting in the ground, you know, and then Yukari started crying. And it was so beautiful because there were so many beautiful things involved. You know, Yukari feeling loved, Yukari feeling accepted, Yukari feeling Akira's Chocolat's power and will to protect her. And that was so beautiful. That was really, really beautiful. And I thought that that moment was very important for Yukari to know that she can accept other people, and she can accept other people's love towards her. That was very important. And Makaron said daisuki to Yukari. And that phrase, I think, I'm not an expert in Japanese, but I think that it can be translated in so many different ways, and I love you is one of them. But it's not the only translation possible. It can mean like, I treasure you, you're important to me. And I don't know, but I think that I love you is one of the meanings. And, well, it was the way it was translated by Anon, but I don't know if it's the only possible translation. But even though, if it's not the only possible translation, it's one possible translation, and it's probably the most noticeable use of Daisuki. So, what can I say, right? And then we've had another interesting scene, which was both of them attacking together, and then we had the scene, and both the other girls appeared, they transformed. It was very nice seeing the girls fighting together again without using their stock footage powers. And it's very interesting, Whip and Custard always attack together. Did you guys notice that? And Makanon and Chocolate attacking together, and when they attacked, the background was full of roses. Utena reference, maybe? I don't know. But it was so beautiful, the beautiful blue and purple and red background, and then the attacking with the macaron, the chocolate macaron together. Wow, so beautiful. And at the end, we've seen that, not at the end, between the fights, Chocolate's heart glowed, and it glowed, I don't even know, but you know what I mean. It was shining and it was red at that moment. And then at the end of the episode, they said goodbye to the prince, and Yukari said that she doesn't know love yet, and because she is on the quest to discover herself first, and that's totally understandable. And then there was a little comedic scene that we've had with both of them, and the idea that the prince thought that Akira was a guy, and then I think that and then he told Akira that you're going to show Yukari and you're going to protect her, you're going to be her prince. And then Yukari looked at Akira and her heart was shining as well. Her heart was shining purple, and it's probably a reference to those marbles that they got last episode, and they're probably going to resonate with them with specific situations in which they glow inside with their feelings. And I think I said a lot. 12 minutes, oh my god. Okay, so just to finish, next episode, beach episode, I think is going to be amazing. Yukari pecketing. Thank you. I love those scenes so much. And then in the next episode, it's going to happen, and Yukari is probably not going to leave the parasol. She's not going to be under the sun. She's going to be under the parasol all times in the beach. And next episode, it seems that we're going to have Biburi back, and then we're going to have a little relationship between Biburi and Ciel. That's going to be very, very interesting to see. I am very curious about that. And I'm very curious about Ciel. I think that she is becoming a very interesting character. I think that she's going to be great, a great character in the series. I really do believe that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, please subscribe, thumbs up, and let's just talk about this amazing episode, which I particularly adored. I don't even have words to say how much I liked this. I'm going to watch this episode like 100 times because this is so strong. This was really strong to me. And I really loved how they developed those relationships. And there is a song about that they sing together, and this song is basically about what this episode described, but this song is very beautiful. I'm going to leave the link of the translation in the description box. You guys can check it out. It's a very beautiful song it's a duet between Macaron and Chocolat, and it's a very beautiful love song. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.